In the last video, we showed you how to multiply numbers written in scientific notation. And the same properties or the same things that applied to the last video will apply to this video. We were multiplying numbers in scientific notation, and we used product of powers and we used quotient of powers. And now we're going to be dividing, and we will also use those same laws of exponents. So how is dividing numbers written in scientific notation different than multiplying? Well, it's not a whole lot different, except we divide instead of subtract. So here we have two numbers written in scientific notation. If we were to divide 4.64 and 2.9, we would get 1.6. And if we remember the quotient of powers, if we're dividing powers that have the same base, we subtract their exponents. So I would take -4 and subtract -6. And if we remember carefully, subtracting a negative is the same as adding. So -4 plus 6 would equal 2. So our answer would be 1.6 times 10 to the second power. So very straightforward. Divide the powers of 10 and divide the two numbers out front. Just as we had in multiplication, sometimes our answers in division problems won't be quite right. Here is an example. Here we have a word problem about our solar system. We've got the planet of Jupiter, which is 143,000 kilometers in diameter, and Mercury, which is 5 times 10 to the third. What you should notice right away is we have numbers written in two different forms. What we want to do is get them written in the same form first of all. So let's write 143,000 in scientific notation. In order to do that, I'll move this decimal point over 5 times. Notice I have a really large number, so my exponent is going to be positive. So I'm going to have 1.43 times 10 to the 5th power. Okay, so now that I have both numbers in scientific notation, I can divide them. So I've got 1.43 times 10 to the 5th divided by 5 times 10 to the 3rd. Well, if we take 1.43 and divide that by 5, we get 0.286. And then once again, I've got two powers of 10, so I can subtract them because we're dividing 5 minus 3 equals 2. So I get times 10 to the second. So that seems pretty straightforward, except for the fact that my number out front is not between 1 and 10. It is too small. To make it between 1 and 10, I'm going to have to move this decimal point to the right, which will make it 2.86 times 10 to the, well, if we look at the rule right here, whenever I move my decimal to the right, my exponent's going to get smaller. So that means it's going to be a 1 instead of a 2. So my answer will be 2.86 times 10 to the first power. Well, if you notice, 10 to the first power is simply 10. So that would be the same as 2.86 times 10, which would equal 28.6. So in this word problem, it asked how much bigger is Jupiter than Mercury, and we know that it is almost 28 times bigger. Okay, so that is dividing numbers in scientific notation. Once again, we use quotient of powers, and we make sure that our final answer is written in scientific notation. Please try the got it's at the bottom of the page that go along with example 2.